That one.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Budget Finance Economic Development Committee. My name is Yuki Lei Sugimura. I'm the chair of this committee. It is now 9:03 a.m. Welcome to our second week of budget deliberations for fiscal year 26 budget. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Sunshine Law, and as a reminder, when your name is called, if you are not in the council chambers, which looks like there might be a few of you, please identify by name if anyone is with you in your room, vehicle, or workspace. Minors do not need to be identified. All right, so Member Kama will be joining us shortly. Oh, I don't see her online. Oh, there you are. Oh, sorry.
I'm here.
Member Kama.
I'm here, Chair.
Good morning.
Good morning. Aloha kakahiaka to everyone. Looking forward to a wonderful meeting this morning.
Me too. Next, we have Shirley.
Okay, so in case you're going to Tanzania and Africa, you would say habari, habari.
Habari.
And as you know, Tanzania is just below the equator, which is about halfway down Africa to the east. Okay, so now you got it, in case you want to go take a Hawaiian Airlines flight over there. And I'm home alone in my workspace. No one's here with me. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I think I may have caught a bad cold over the weekend.
Working too hard. Thank you very much, Shirley. Next, we have Member Paulton.
Thank you for not sitting next to me and getting me sick. Aloha kakayaka kako.
You're so funny. All right. Next, we have Member Johnson.
Aloha, Chair, Council members, community members, habadi to everybody. I'm alone on my side of the workspace on wet Lanai. We need the rain today, and there's no testifiers at the Lanai District Office. Mahalo, Chair.
Oh, you're making us all envious. It's raining in Lanai. How wonderful. Next, we have Member Rollins Fernandez.
Aloha kakahiaka kako, hau'oli po'a kahi kako. I'm at my home private residence right now on Molokai. I will be flying there to Maui for Lanai tomorrow. Anyway, for Seaworm in Lahaina. Okay, I'm flying over this afternoon, so I'll join you this afternoon. So at about 10:30, I'm gonna turn off my video, but I'll still be monitoring. And there's no one here. I'm here alone, and there are no testifiers at the Molokai District Office. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you. Member Cook.
Aloha and Habani.
Albany.
There's no testifiers in Kihei, and I'm looking forward to today's meeting. Thanks.
Member Hodgins.
Aloha, everyone. Good morning. How buddy?
Good morning. Member Senensi.
Aloha kakayaka, Chair Habadi and Sabadi. Here at my home office, I'm here by myself. There are no testifiers in Ana, Chair.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. From the Office of the Mayor, we have our Budget Director, Leslie Milner. You must be down there. Oh, yes. Good morning. Department of Fire and Public Safety, we have Chief Ventura, and he will, at the appropriate time, introduce his force. He has his whole force here. It's pretty exciting. Department of Planning, we have Kate Blystone, Director, Deputy Director Anna Lillis, and Administrative Officer Connie Govea. Department of Corporation Counsel, Christina Toshikio, and committee staff. I always say thank you very much for getting us here at these meetings and for all your hard work. Senior Committee Secretary, we have Pauline Martins, as well as Yvette Botelier, Legislative Analyst.
And available to answer your questions. So for current, we have Danny Diaz. For Zoning Administration and Enforcement, or ZIAD, we have Acting Planning Program Administrator, Carolyn Cortez. For Long Range Division, we have Jackie Takakura. Sorry. And for Plan Implementation Division, we have Scott Forsyth. I will be brief as our budget is far less complicated than the budgets of our colleagues, but for fiscal year 2026, we are investing in our most valuable resource, our people. Anna and I have been in these positions for a little more than a year, and during that time, we have learned some critical information. The salaries that we offer our employees are not competitive. Top to bottom, not even close. These low salaries make it difficult to recruit experienced talent, to even interview, let alone hire, and low wages make it difficult for our existing workers to make ends meet. Call me old-fashioned, but I believe when you work for the county, especially in a job that requires so much mental agility and flexibility, you shouldn't need a second or third job to feed your family. When we were in front of you last year, we had 22 vacancies, and now we have 24. The turnover rate in our department is unacceptable. This budget aims to address that. While we cannot fix our outdated salary schedule, we can increase compensation through supplemental agreements, recruitment and retention bonuses, and other mechanisms. For months, we have been putting together a package of solutions that addresses these issues for existing employees and for future employees. We are excited to deploy this approach in July with your support. Why do we need to fill these vacancies? The department plays an outsized role in Lahaina recovery. We review each building permit for compliance with zoning and do a rigorous review of projects on the shoreline. This task alone is enough for any planning department, but we aren't just the planning department for Lahaina. We are the planning department for Maui Nui, and we need these positions filled with competent planners and support staff to meet our obligations across the county. When you try to do more and more with less and less, as we've been doing, eventually we will be doing everything with nothing. Our staff are overworked and burnt out, but we still have so much left to do. This cycle cannot continue, and we need your support. The budget before you is modest and logical. It meets the needs of our community during this very difficult moment in our history. So we ask the council to fully fund our request so we can staff the department and meet our obligations to the people of Maui County. In preparation for this day, we have received 2 letters from this committee. You have the response to our first letter, and later this morning, should the budget director have time to review it, you'll have our second letter, and we appreciate your patience. We look forward to answering your questions. Mahalo nui.
Thank you very much. Ms. Lillis, Deputy Director Lillis, would you like to also say a few words?
Thank you, Chair. We have 24 vacancies, as Director Blyson stated. We also have an exciting new opportunity with DLNR to partner and take on 2 kupu interns at no cost to the department. We've selected 1 intern and they will start later this month, and we hope to select the second before the end of the month as well. They will not reduce our vacancies, but we do hope that they will increase our capacity, and we hope to transition them into full-time department staff later on. And
Is she speaking? Because we can't hear.
Oh, you can't hear? Okay. One moment. You want me to
Test.
do a short
Test.
recess? Could you hear Director Blystone? Member Rollins Fernandez?
Yes. It was just like the last maybe 20 seconds of what Deputy Director was saying.
Oh, yes, thank you. I was just stating that we have an interesting partnership with DLNR happening currently. We hope to take on 2 interns. We've selected 1. We have interviews for the second later this month, and we are hopeful that will be a meaningful partnership and transition those interns into full-time department staff. That is our hope. Thank you.
Okay, good. You can hear now. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Department. And next, I would like to ask for the Chief Ventura. Would you like to come here and do your opening comments? So for the members' information, Fire has responded, and their comments are on Granicus number 17 and 79, FS1 and FS2. Do you have enough chairs? You do, yeah. Okay, ready? Okay. So I'd like to ask Chief Brad Ventura to provide any opening comments, and if you could also introduce the personnel joining you today.
Thank you, Chair. Aloha, kakayaka, everybody. Thank you for having us today. With me, I have our Chief of Support Services, Ryan Otsubo, as well as our Chief from Ocean Safety, Zach Ed Lau. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share with you our budget and go over our FY26 proposed budget here today. Our staff has worked diligently over the last several days to answer the 2 sets of questions, and we submitted the second set on Friday. I know it's quite lengthy, it's about 35 pages, but that should give you a pretty good in-depth view into our budget from the questions that we received from you all. We've set up our budget and our priorities to basically service our community and accomplish the mission of our department. The recent uncertainties that we've seen in the federal government, including tariffs and some changes to our grants, may need to have us pivot as we move through the year, but we will keep you posted as we move along. Our budget priorities for this year are the health and safety of our community and our employees, to fulfill as many of the after-action report recommendations and recommendations from the FSRI phase reports through our budget as well. And if you peruse through our budget this year, you'll see there's at least 31 connections to recommendations from those 2 reports in the FY26 budget. And then the last thing, priority-wise for us, is to maintain, replace, and expand our assets including our equipment as well as our facilities. So you'll see that reflected in our equipment requests as well as our CIP requests. A little bit about our vacancy count. We currently have 0 civilian vacancies in our department. The fire side of things, we have 19 vacancies. However, on April 1st, we just started a recruit class with 22 recruits. They graduate October 3rd, and that'll be taking care of all those vacancies. We do have more positions that are still being created in FY25, and that's why we're starting a second recruit class June 16th. It's very rare for us to do 2 recruit classes in a year, but we know we have to this year. So everybody's working really hard to get that done. On the ocean safety side of things, we currently sit at 16 and a half vacancies. 8 and a half of those are for Pu'ukeka. We will hire those employees once we get our building permits for that tower. There's no need to overhire or spend early. We think it's fiscally responsible to wait till that tower is under construction before those employees are hired. With that being said, that leaves us with about 9 more vacancies. We started a recruit class on April 1st with 5 candidates, so that leaves us with the remaining 3, which we'll get in the last class. We do have some proposed changes to our fiscal year 26 budget. This will net a savings of about $77,000. And I do have this in writing that I can share with the clerk later, but just to go through it, your questions that were sent to us made us kind of inspect our budget a little bit closer, and then you had some suggestions for us to move money from place to place, so we did. We can reduce our admin program by about $40,000 in professional services. And we can also reduce our civilian expansion positions to 4-month funding, which would gain a $89,000 savings. And we're okay also because of the time that our recruit classes are graduating to reduce the funding for the firefighter positions we're asking for to 6-month funding, which would be a $91,000 savings. What we're asking for that is, due to the recent weather, our training center asphalt has become unsafe and very unlevel and dangerous to drive forklifts and apparatus around, as well as walking. So we are going to have to repave that project in this fiscal year, which we did not put funding in for. So that ask is $143,000. We'll be working with Public Works to do it as fiscally responsible as possible, as they have kindly offered their services. They've been to the property and they know what work needs to be done. Those 4 changes net a $76,936 savings to our budget. I do have a bit of bad news. You may be following all the federal appropriation bills that are being passed, and the earmarks have been removed. So for Haiku Fire Station, we did lose the $15 million grant for Haiku Fire Station. That happened March 15th, and on March 31st, we were in Washington, D.C., talking to our delegates. The goal there was to basically tell them how important this money is to us, not only for just the fire station, but the whole of Maui County, and how we're going through so much to recover from the fires still, that every dollar we need will help everybody. It's money that we don't have to take from somewhere else. So Mayor has supported a couple of things. One is to make this also the FY26 priority for earmarks. So we will be going back in again for it. And our conversations with our delegates in DC were to show the importance of somehow potentially getting this money back in the federal fiscal 25 year, but no promises were made. We're also looking for different ways to fund this. So we have some feelers out for other grants that have come in the past, and we'll be working to see if those kind of pop up on our radar. Lastly, I just want to say mahalo to this council for always, being there. We get a lot of good feedback from you, from your communities. And I think it's really important that we stay connected so that we know what's going on in your community so that we can fulfill the needs of them. And then you folks have always been very supportive of our department to accomplish our mission. And, the residents and the visitors that we serve every single day depend on us to do everything that we have to do. Later today, you'll see in testimony we've brought along both of our unions. We've worked with them to make sure all of our priorities are addressed as best as possible, and what's important to them, they'll share with you. So thank you. Mahalo, Chair.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. So at this time, then, I'm going to ask the fire to stay here, in those seats. I'm going to open our for public testimony, and when we come back, members will do fire first with questions, and then ask planning to join us. So do we have public? We do have public testifiers. Okay. So testifiers wanting to provide testimony should sign up with staff and join the online meeting via Teams link or call the phone number noted on today's agenda. Testimony on the budget is limited to the departments as well as anything on the fiscal year budget for 2026. Written testimony is encouraged and can be submitted via the e-comment link at mauicounty.us/agendas as well. Under the Sunshine Law, the chair will receive oral testimony for agenda items at the beginning of the meeting, and as the item is called up, for individuals wishing to testify via Teams, please raise your hand by clicking the online raise your hand button. If calling in, please follow the prompts via phone *5 to raise and lower your hand, *6 to mute and unmute. Staff will add names to the testifiers list in the order testifiers sign up. For those in Teams, staff will lower your hand. Once your name is added, staff will then call the name you logged in under the last 4 digits of your phone number when it's your time to testify. At this time, staff will also enable your phone and video. If you wish to testify anonymously, please notify staff. Otherwise, please state your name for the record at the beginning of your testimony. Oral testimony is limited to 3 minutes per item, of which we only have one item, so you can testify 3 minutes on anything on our fiscal year 26 agenda. And if you're still testifying beyond this time, I'll ask you to complete your testimony and provide a 30 more seconds. Once you're done testifying, or if you do not wish to testify, you can also view the meeting on Akaku Channel 53, Facebook Live, or mauicounty.us/agendas. We will do our best to take each person up in an orderly fashion. Please, staff, call the first testifier. Clarissa is doing the calling of the testimony. Okay. Thank you, Clarissa.
Yes, Chair. The first individual signed up to testify is Jay Fujita, to be followed by Jonah Romero.
Good morning, Chair, council members, and guests. My name is Jay Fujita. I am here representing the Hawaii Firefighters Association. I am also a 25-year veteran with my Maui Fire and Public Safety as a fire captain. First, as before last year, coming up as testimony. We stated that we do need more fire stations. That is still a request that we need to give. Second, I'll be talking about two topics that we have budgeted for this upcoming fiscal year. The first one is travel. We do know that we have, and our county encompasses 4 islands, 3 which is staffed by the fire department, Maui, Molokai, and Lanai. So members are asked to work at these stations and travel there for work, and most of the time is on their own pay. They need to cover their own vehicles. If they need to ship a vehicle over to different islands, that is the cost that they take upon themselves. And a lot of times, these are entry-level firefighters, so they're just getting on the job and have to incur these costs as well as pay for their mortgages or rents back here at home. MPD, which is also under public safety, they do have an MOU in place that does cover for their officers. We are asking for the same to be covered for our employees, which I think that is fair to be asked. And the second thing that we also budgeted for in the fiscal year is for our physicals. We follow the 1582 NFPA. And part of those physicals, we do screen for cancers within that for our employees. The union is working with senators on HB 827 and SB 828, which is to bolster the presumptive cancer laws for Hawaii. There's some stats. The International Agency of Research on Cancer classifies firefighting as carcinogenic to humans, and it's rated at a group 1, which is the highest level. This is the same class that is with tobacco and benzene. So firefighting is carcinogenic to us. 75% of the people honored or members honored at the IFF, Fallen Firefighters Memorial in September, is from cancer. That's 230 out of the 306 members that were honored is because of cancer. And right now, when members are having to deal with cancer, they have the burden of trying to recoup costs medically through the workman's comp. We are trying to bolster this and making sure and taking this burden off of the firefighters having to deal with the cancer and paying for their hospitals. Thank you.
So if I could just ask a clarifying question.
Yes.
You talked about 2 things. So you're saying that when a firefighter travels to, let's say, Molokai, they
Yes.
need to pay for their own car, they need to pay for their, well, we must pay for their, well, what does that person pay for, and what is this MOU that you would like us to reference? Or
So right now, we do cover some of the travel costs, but they have to front the costs, and they'll get reimbursed. And if they're gonna ship their vehicles over, because we are on a Kelly schedule, so we don't work, when they work there, they don't work every day. So they work on, off, and then 4 days off. But in between days, they need a vehicle and to get from the airport to the stations to work. So most of the time, they'll ship a vehicle over. That cost is they have to pay on their own pockets. ship the car back. Once, if they're able to get back to Maui, they have to ship it back. They pay for those costs. When they're there, if they rent someplace, they pay for that cost.
Housing.
Housing,
Housing.
yeah.
Oh. I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah, and most of the time, and a lot of times it's the firefighters, so the entry level. So this is the lowest paying that are incurring these costs, as well as paying for their mortgages and rents back home.
Okay. All right, members. Anybody else have questions for testifier? Member Cook.
Thank you, sir. My clarifying question, so shipping the car back and forth would be like the first time that they're stationed over there, or like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth?
Just to do their duty there. So however long they need to be there, a year or until they can get transferred back to Maui.
So then they might have to have two cars, one on Maui and one over wherever they're stationed. That is one of the other aspects of it.
Correct.
So is there any talk about basically being able to provide transportation on Molokai, on Lanai for firefighters so that they don't have to do that? So there's a car available for them on.
We haven't really gotten to that part yet, but we are asking for costs to have their vehicle getting shipped over and back.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Members, anybody else have questions? Okay, see none. Thank you very much for testifying. Next testifier, please.
Chair, you gotta
Yes.
check online, yeah.
Oh, I
had a
see.
question.
Oh, just a second. Can you come back?
My hand was up. Yeah,
Okay.
my hand was up for a while.
Very good. All right, Member Ross
Yeah.
Fernandez has a question for you.
Aloha, mahalo. Mahalo for testifying. Did you provide your testimony in writing so that we can reference it?
I can do that after, yep.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, because just to clarify, the costs that you spoke to about, being on Molokai or Lanai, those costs you're asking for it to be covered, not for them to continue paying out of pocket? Is that what, just to clarify?
I think it was proposed in the budget to coming some monies, but we are working with DPS to draft an MOU as to be parity with MPD.
Okay, mahalo for that clarification. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have questions? See none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next testifier.
Chair, the next testifier is Jonah Romero, to be followed by Lisa Labreque.
Okay. Good morning. Aloha, Budget Chair Sugimura, and other esteemed council members in the community. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. My name is Jonah Romero, and I'm here on behalf of the HGA Bar Unit 15 Ocean Safety Officers. I'm currently serve as a training captain for the Ocean Safety Bureau here on Maui and have been in the department since 2018. For those who are not familiar, the Ocean Safety Bureau went under the direction of the Department of Fire and Public Safety back in 2017. We were a group of 40-something guards then, and we're currently just shy of 100. We stand to gain more personnel in the coming years. That type of growth is something to be proud of, and we have our community and you all to thank for that, so thank you. However, we all know that with growth comes challenges. More personnel means the need for more trainings, more equipment, and more equipment means the need for more space. Currently, we have various apparatus and equipment scattered throughout different locations, leading to clutter and encroaching on MFD's overall space and function. We also oftentimes find ourselves competing for classroom space. With both departments having multiple annual recertifications, it oftentimes leads to scheduling conflicts, And fortunately, our brothers and sisters on the fire side have been extremely accommodating, willing, and flexible. But they too are expanding and growing. It's alluded to what Fire One said earlier. That is why I'm here advocating on behalf of our department for the budget in this, for this year's budget. The increased funding will not only improve our equipment and facilities, but also enhance our department's effectiveness to save lives. A dedicated space will allow us to have a place to properly store and maintain our equipment, conduct comprehensive training, and ultimately serve our community better. We urge you to consider this budget proposal as an investment not just in our department and the men and women who serve, but also in the safety and well-being of our visitors who come here to enjoy, and most importantly, our community who call this place their home. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anybody have questions for the testifier? See none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next testifier, please.
The next testifier is Lisa Labreque, to be followed by Lori Gaines.
Aloha, Chair, Council members. Good morning. I'm Dr. Lisa Labreque, CEO of Maui Humane Society. Last year, I stood here and shared the challenges of an uncertain future for animals on Maui following the wildfires. We expected that displaced and affected families would continue to make the difficult decision to surrender their beloved animals. We expected that veterinary care would be desperately needed due to financial strain and limited access. We expected to see a higher length of stay for animals in our care as housing became more limited, especially for dogs. This year, these fears have become our reality. We have never been called upon in this way before, and while our small but mighty staff and volunteer base have risen to the challenge, we need additional support in order to continue supporting those who need us most. We are deeply grateful for the county's support, which covers approximately 60% of our costs for our animal sheltering program. The remaining 40% is funded by Maui Humane Society using donor contributions, grant funding, investments, and other sources of revenue. Last year, we did not receive an annual increase to account for inflation, making it harder to keep up with rising costs. Then in December, Hawaii Animal Rescue Foundation, the second largest animal welfare organization on the island, closed their doors, further straining our resources. In previous years, the mayor's budget has included a line item for HARF of $150,000. This has been dropped from the fiscal 26 budget at a time when we are being asked to do more than ever before. When HARF closed, we took in the animals in their care. We hired several of their staff members. And we're seeing now those animals staying about 50% longer than before the fires due to housing shortages, as well as most recently the impacts from the Los Angeles fires, which are affecting our ability to transfer animals over to the continent. I respectfully request that this council approve the full amount we requested for animal sheltering, rather than flat funding us for the second year in a row. And in addition, we request the $150,000 previously earmarked for HARF so that we can continue the critical work of providing housing and care for the homeless animals in our community. Mahalo for your consideration.
Thank you. Members, anybody have questions for the testifier? Member Paulson.
Thank you, Chair. What was the full amount?
Our animal sheltering grant from fiscal 2024 was $2,033,000. We asked for our annual increase last year and did not get it, so we got that same amount last year, and that is the same amount in this coming budget. So the annual increase that we have received all previous years would be an additional, well, what we requested was $2,236,000. So it's a difference of, I think it's like $203,000.
2,203,000?
No, so we're asking for 2,236,000, which is 203,000 more than what is currently in the budget.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do you have that in writing? You could send it to us.
Yes, we dropped off 12 copies or 16 copies today.
Very
And
good.
then I think I did email all council members separately with a much more detailed statement than what I had time for today. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. All right. Next before I go into the next testifier, I see Member Sinensi here. Good morning, Member Sinensi. Okay. Next testifier, please.
Chair, the next testifier is Lori Gaines, to be followed by Moani Makaivi.
Aloha, council members, chair, community members. I'm Dr. Lori Gaines, the medical director and a veterinarian at Maui Humane Society. I want to express my sincere gratitude for the county's past support of Maui Humane and to provide you with an update on our spay-neuter program. Your partnership has played a crucial role in improving animal welfare in our community, and we deeply appreciate your continued commitment. The disruption in spay-neuter services secondary to the wildfires led to a backlog in spay-neuter surgeries, and we are still seeing the consequences as the population continues to grow. We continue to provide medical and surgical care beyond spay-neuter for animals of families affected by the fires. The need for our services has never been greater. The demand continues to far exceed our capacity. Each month, our surgery appointment schedule fills up within minutes of opening. Currently, the county contributes $66 per surgery, a rate that has remained unchanged for almost 10 years. In reality, the true cost of an average spay-neuter surgery at Maui Humane is over $85. The average cost at private vet clinics is over $600. Without an increase in funding, we are severely limited in our ability to provide these critical services, which help manage the island's animal population and reduce shelter intake. Last year, our team performed 7,551 spay and neuter surgeries. Using the outdated pricing, this means the county provided funding for about 2,500 of those surgeries. If the county keeps our funding the same, this will result in 23% fewer surgeries, a reduction of 560. If the county would like to continue funding the same number of surgeries as you have done previously, we respectfully ask for an increase of $48,000 for a total of $213,000 in order to provide 2,500 county-supported spay-neuter surgeries to the community. Given the rising costs and the great need for these services, we respectfully request the funding to cover the true cost of providing affordable spay-neuter. Without increased support, fewer animals will receive these essential surgeries, leading to higher intake rates and further strain on our already overburdened shelter. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. With the county's continued support and partnership, we can continue to help families keep their pets and ensure a healthier future for our island's animals.
Thank you. Anybody have questions for Dr. Gaines? See none. Thank you very much. Next testifier.
Chair, the next testifier is Moani Makaivi, to be followed by Nikki Russell.
Aloha kakayaka, County Council. My name is Moani Makaivi, and I am the Humane Enforcement Resource Officer at Maui Humane Society. I would like to mahalo for your continued support and commitment to our efforts. As you know, we were awarded the contract to assist with animal control services on Molokai and to rebuild kennels that had fallen into disrepair. These kennels reflect the critical need for resources on the island, not only in terms of enforcement, but also through pet retention services and safe, clean housing that ensures humane treatment and malama for the animals in our care. Since stepping into this role on February 10th, I've witnessed firsthand and heard directly from the Molokai community the urgent need for a full-time veterinarian to provide essential services, including spay and neuter procedures, wellness checkups, and also humane euthanasia. While we are grateful for the partnership with Molokai Humane Society, their capacity remains limited. The people of Molokai are open to change, but meaningful progress requires adequate funding. Without additional support, more animals will be transferred to Maui, away from the island they call home. Maui Humane Society continues to provide critical support, but with limited space and resources on Maui, the need for action is urgent. As we approach the fiscal year of 2026, we respectfully request funding to not only sustain the progress we have made, but to expand essential programs in education and animal welfare resources for Molokai, including additional funding for a second humane enforcement officer of $60,000. Maui Police Department held a contract to the job description of the dog warden. Currently, I am the one officer who is responsible for the entire island, Monday through Friday. This is neither sustainable nor safe. The previous officer on Molokai was supported by the Maui Police Department, which would cover when he was not on duty or needed assistance in general, whereas the officer under Maui Humane Society does not have a backup or a supervisor on island or immediate on-site assistance. This remains a satellite position. We have shifted from having 2 humane enforcement officers and 1 animal care enrichment specialist, instead of 2 part-time animal care enrichment specialists and only 1 humane enforcement officer. This will help to ensure proper assistance for the officers and also safety. In the past 2 months, I have since flown 16 puppies and 1 adult female dog, and by boat, 1 adult female dog to Maui for medical care amongst needing the assistance with behavioral issues. Per Kamaka Air, we are only able to fly a dog per kennel, 1 dog in 1 kennel, at the cost of $177. And we are asking for assistance with transportation at $5,000 a year. That would allow us to fly 2 dogs a week on Kamaka Air. Privately owned boats can cost anywhere from $25 to $75 one way. On February 28th, I was able to assist 16 families with spay and neuter with either their own pet or stray dogs who also had puppies. A one-day spay and neuter clinic on Molokai costs approximately $3,500. We are requesting $42,000 in county support to fund monthly spay and neuter clinics. This funding will cover essential medical procedures and wellness appointments. As we all know, Molokai does not have a full-time veterinarian on island, but it would help with the medical supplies and other necessary resources, including travel, medication, and equipment. Maui Humane Society will absorb the cost of all staff training, travel, per diem, and ground transportation necessary to facilitate these services. Mahalo for your time and consideration.
Thank you. You're reading your testimony. Could you submit that to us?
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody have questions? Okay, see none. Thank you very much.
Mahalo.
Next testifier.
Chair, the next testifier is Nikki Russell, to be followed by Judith Awikawa.
Good morning, Chair and the esteemed members of the County Council. Thank you for your time and your ongoing dedication to serving the County of Maui. My name is Nikki Russell, and I'm the Chief of Operations at Maui Humane Society. I'm here today to testify in support of our Humane Enforcement contract. We're profoundly grateful for the county's continued support, which allows Maui Humane Society to provide essential animal control and humane enforcement services for our community. As you're aware, MHS is contracted by Maui County to respond to the needs of animals and residents across the island of Maui. In fiscal year 24, our officers responded to more than 3,804 calls for service, brought in 951 stray animals, and conducted 512 cruelty investigations. Our humane enforcement officers also logged 91,399 miles last year, responding to calls for stray animals, animals in distress, and victims of suspected cruelty. Maui Humane Society respectfully requests an allocation of an additional $94,000 to account for inflationary pressures observed over the preceding 2 years. Additionally, we seek an appropriation of $150,000 to fund the acquisition of an additional humane enforcement officer and an enforcement vehicle. This request is necessitated by a discernible escalation in demand for our services throughout the island. Contributing factors to this increased demand include the rising number of pet owners experiencing homelessness due to the lack of pet-friendly housing and a concurrent increase in animal abandonment. To illustrate the urgency of your request, just last week, our officers intervened in a neglect case involving the seizure of 7 canines from a single owner in Lahaina. All 7 animals presented in emaciated condition, with 2 requiring urgent medical attention, one of whom was subsequently euthanized due to the severity of its condition. The community needs Maui Humane Society's help more than ever. Our Maui Humane Society team will continue to meet these challenges, but we need the support of Maui County to continue serving those who need us most. Maui Humane Society respectfully requests an additional $244,000 over and above the $1,061,000 flat funding that the mayor has proposed for the second year in a row, thereby resulting in a total fiscal year 26 funding request of $1,305,000. As mentioned above, this additional funding will account for inflationary increases over the last 2 years and fund the acquisition of an additional officer and vehicle. Thank you again for your continued support of Maui County's animals.
Thank you. Anybody have questions for the testifier? Seeing none. Thank you very much. So before we hear from the next, you can please come down. We just received from the OCS staff of many papers and documents, of which is the Humane Society testimony. Please come down.
Aloha, Chair and Council members. My name is Dr. Judy Aikawa. I'm a retired emergency medicine physician and Vice Chair of the Maui Humane Society Board of Directors. It has been my privilege to serve on the MHS board for over 15 years. I'm speaking today on behalf of the Board of Directors to express our gratitude for the County of Maui's longstanding support. We are proud of our partnership with the county and feel our shared commitment has saved animal lives and has helped to preserve the human-animal bond, which is essential to the emotional health and resilience of animal lovers in our community. Over the last 15 years, I've had the pleasure of witnessing the transformative changes Maui Humane Society has undergone as the organization has grown from fewer than 20 employees to over 100 dedicated animal welfare professionals who care for between 250 to 600 animals each month. MHS's scope of work has also expanded so that in addition to rescuing, rehoming, and rehabilitating Maui's homeless animals, MHS now provides crucial support and outreach for underprivileged pets and their owners. Currently, county grant funding makes all that work possible, as well as enabling the organization to work to achieve the following strategic goals. 1, to provide accessible and affordable veterinary care, including spay-neuter services to all who need it. This despite a deficit of spay-neuter funding from traditional animal welfare sources. 2, to expand services to ensure that underserved communities like Molokai and Hana have accessible veterinary care and other animal welfare resources. 3, to enforce animal-related laws and investigate cases of animal cruelty while educating and delivering services that support the community and keep animals in their homes. And 4th, to upgrade and modernize MHS animal sheltering facilities to maximize life-saving impact and operational efficiency, ensuring MHS is prepared for the future. MHS remains committed to improving the lives of pets and people in our community, but we cannot do it alone. We deeply appreciate your past and continued support and urge you to consider increasing funding for MHS to ensure we can meet the community's growing animal welfare needs. Mahalo for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Anybody have questions? Member Paulton.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Dr. Aikawa. Just wondering, has all the money from the fire been expended already? Any monies that you received, donations from the fire and the Hawaii Community Foundation?
We have expended the Hawaii Community Foundation funding, but there is money left from the fires, which is restricted for fire use. for fire-related programs and services, particularly to the Lahaina community, and also to Kula a bit, where they had fires too.
Could it cover spay and neutering in Lahaina and Kula?
Some of the money is going to our spay and neuter programs, but remember, the county only covers 2,500 animals, and we do over 7,000 a year. Many of those are in Lahaina. So those are covered by the society, which raises money from grants, donations, investments, and all kinds of other efforts to raise money.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, members. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Next testifier.
Chair, the next and currently last individual signed up to testify is Carrie Mahon. Apologies if I mispronounced your name.
Good morning. My name is Carrie Mailing. I am a 2+ year volunteer with Maui Humane Society. I have given over 1,920 hours in these last couple of years, and I primarily work in the hospital and clinic facilities. I'm here to emphasize the need for the spay and neuter program today. As you folks know, MHS is required by law and contract to provide certain functions under Title VI and the Hawaii Revised Statute. The spay and neuter program is asking for $213,000. You have earmarked $165,000 in the current budget. Our customer is this community, and the community has demanded and continues to demand breadth of services, which includes access to spay and neuter programs. Dr. Gaines mentioned that the real cost of a spay or neuter is $85, and we're getting $66. I would challenge any person in this room to get a medical procedure that involves anesthesia and high quality professional care for $66. That doesn't include the fact that every single surgery day, there are a minimum of 3 of us volunteers there. We give 20 hours a surgical day. If you paid us a minimum wage of $14 an hour, that's $280 a day, $72,800 shortfall. That's what we are giving back. It is not unreasonable for the county to step in and provide additional funds for spay and neuter. We as members of this community are stepping in, and the dollars need to back that. I hear repeatedly, the community has to step up. They've got to get involved. They do. They are feeding, watering, caring for cat colonies. They are out there keeping diseases from spreading, kittens from being born. They're protecting native species and habitats by controlling these communities. We need to be there to back them up, and we need the resources to do it. The county needs to recognize we have grown dramatically. The facility has not been able to keep pace with that because the financial backing isn't there. We should not have to go out and beg for money to do what we are contracted to do. We keep hearing the theme repeatedly. We need more homes for people in this community. We do, no question. But you can't give somebody a place to be in a home and a roof over their head if you don't have the rest of the resources there for them. And that includes helping care for the animals in this community. I would encourage this group to start looking long-term. I, on my own dime, have toured multiple facilities that are state-of-the-art. They are amazing. But what you have here are medical professionals, technicians, people with extremely high levels of training, operating and doing the best they can with very little resources. And to say that they are miracle workers is a dramatic understatement. We need to back the work that they are doing, and we need to back it with our finances. Our values in this community are reflected by what we take care of, and that should be our children, our kupuna, and our animals. It is really that simple. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Question from, one moment, Member Hodgins.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your testimony. To clarify, so the reason why your folks spayed and neuter program compared to like a private vet is because you guys volunteer your time to do the surgery?
So I'm a pure volunteer. I'm actually training as a technician right now, paying for that on my own. You have paid technicians who are doing your anesthesia, your drug protocols, monitoring of things of that nature. What we're doing is the things that doesn't require the highest level of medical care. We're doing paperwork. We're doing moving the animals around. We're doing the post-surgery monitoring and checking with people. But those are positions which are not being filled by paid people because your paid technicians are doing the more technical work, the stuff that you would expect nurses to do in a hospital, right? But it doesn't change that all of those things have to be done for every single surgery.
Okay. And then you guys, before you come to us, take all of this and talk to the mayor, and so he can increase your budget. So by the time it comes to us, we can just go with what he has because, we get the budget from the mayor, right?
I do understand that. And as I mentioned, I'm a volunteer, so I'm sort of here on my own time, and I am not part of the group of directors that come and have a lot of the more detailed information or have communicated directly. But I'm here on behalf of the community.
Okay.
As the person I'm putting my time where my money and my mouth is.
Cool. You're just the last one, and so I'm just
I am, and I'm happy to have one of them come back up and be able to address that question because I honestly, I can't address it for you.
Sure. I don't know if you can come back up, but we can talk stories later. Well, I don't know, in the Sunshine Law, if you can come back up.
Yeah.
Not right now.
Can she whisper in my ear?
Yeah, but we can talk after to make sure that by the time it hits us, that we're not scrambling to move things around and you guys get what you need from the get-go. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Not a problem.
Thank you. No other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we did receive testimony from Dr. Judy Aikawa, from Nikki Russell, from Moani Makaivi, and Dr. Lebrec, and Laurie Gaines. Members, the Humane Society is in Department of Agriculture this year. Thank you. Any other questions? See none. All right, next testifier.
Yeah, the next testifier is Junior Nakua.
Okay, first thing is, I'm mad because I wanted to be anonymous, but I know you know who the heck I am now because somebody mentioned my name. Okay, so I look on top of the thing says pissed off Hawaiian. I listened to you, the chairperson, in the beginning of the meeting, what to do. Raise your hand and put down, hey, I'll be anonymous. I tried, but the chat is not working. So this whole process that you guys are trying to do and shutting our mouths up and cutting our voices is pissing me off. Yeah, I tried to leave on the chat one message, but I get like 8 messages on top of that thing. I like talk. This is screwed up. This committee, this county council is making us Hawaiians shut up mouth. You're not letting us talk. Okay? So right now you guys are in violation because I wanted to be anonymous. You guys supposed to read my name on top. It says piss off Hawaiian, not Junior Nakua. Okay, wait, let me just what I really wanted to say. Okay, fire department. They ask you for get coverage of how they ship these guys. First thing they get into the thing. I know my family, my friends, they're all into the fire department. They get in. Where they gotta go first things? Hana, Molokai, Lanai, from Maui. So they go there, they don't moka. They don't know nothing. They start. I go Puko. We go to Halawa. I see the fire station far above there from everything else. So if they can get their car, they can go all over the place, go holo. Mean that island. That's the best island in the world. I think you know. But yeah, kind of jam up, you stuck over there. You stuck over there at the station the whole day, the whole week, the whole whatever the schedule is. So figure it out. You get the police, they like all kinds of toys, will do all kinds of stuff. These guys are just asking for being taken care of. Their normal life. You know, they put it, they're doing things for us. And we cannot even take care of them. Come on! Now the lifeguards too. Bruh, lucky we had choke lifeguards. Yesterday, I was on bar. I seen these guys on a jet ski outside Kahana. Yeah. Hey, the two nearest lifeguard station is DT Fleming's and all the way at Canoe Beach. You know how far those guys had to travel to get to Kahana. Figure it out. Take it there. Listen to the lifeguards. Listen to the fire department. These are the guys who take care of me. Who I don't like swim, but they take care of me. You know what I mean? So you guys, go ahead and take care of these guys. The fire department, they're not asking for toys. They're asking for meeting areas. They're asking for the lifeguard. They're asking for normal daily life essentials. You know, one car, go holo, go cruise. You know, you guys, hey, and the salary commission, we give a whole bunch of the county guys, like what, 20, 40, 50% raises, and you guys don't get to get these buggers. Come on. Don't look down at your paperwork, you guys. Not like you guys not listening. Let's go. Wake the heck up. Let's go. This is hilarious how these guys that sit on desk and go get all kind of raises, but the guys out there risking their lives, you guys don't get to take care of them. Wake the F up. Yeah, that was well. Okay? Love you guys, but please. This is the process. It is a circus, bro. You guys tell me, I listen to the rules. I raise my hand. I want to put anonymous, but put it. So how you guys expect me to follow your guys' rules if I don't can do them?
Thank you, Mr. Nakoa. I checked with staff.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Nakoa. Remember now, I want to be anonymous.
No, you signed up as Junior Nakoa, and I don't know.
Our apologies if that was the request of the testifier, and then we'll just, try to do, that was the request of the testifier, and then we'll just, try to do better next time someone requests to be anonymous.
Thank you.
See, this whole process is screwing us up. Okay, that's how you get it. So I did that, Gengi. I did that. I tried to get on the chat. I tried to go on the chat.
See you tomorrow.
Chair.
See you tomorrow.
Chair. Chair, there's currently no one else who has signed up to testify. Would you like me to do a last call?
Yes, please.
Answer said none of that money. The fiscal year 25, 14.65 million was expended yet. How are we moving forward? Are we on hold until we get 15 million, or are we anticipating putting 15
in the future? So she's just kind of trying to balance it. We may get some recruits and we may get some senior transfer people there that get a higher salary.
And what stage in the tower construction are we? Has SMA permits been applied for and stuff like that? Like, are we building a 3-4 person tower? Is it fiberglass or wood?
So currently, I've been working with CIP coordinator Mike Arazumi with the whole permit process, because the permit process is a long process. So we're in that stage right now, and looking possibly maybe moving towards hiring a project manager to do, someone that has the expertise more than we do into getting this set, because the process is long and it set us back for a while. So we're in that stage, and we're moving towards building a tower. Right now, a fiberglass tower takes almost 2 years to be built and shipped here. So we can't wait that long. The quicker way would be to get a wooden tower built in the location.
Would you need a flood hazard permit?
I believe we have to look at all that aspects. So I'm not too sure with the permitting process. I'm kind of new to the permit process as well. But working with Mike, we're both looking into it to see all what is needed.
Okay. And then I was wondering why only 4,000 has been anticipated to be added to the firework auditor fund when the average collected is 15,000. And according to the estimated balance of June 30th, 2025, it shows fiscal year 25 collected 15,500. How much was collected from firecracker and aerial display permits in the past fiscal year? And would adding that revenue to the firework auditor fund be enough to hire a firework auditor?
Great questions. So, because historically the number of permits that we sold did not create a fund large enough to pay somebody, we just do the auditing in-house. We can look at, with budget and finance, reallocating funds from other places, as you mentioned, to that fund in the future to hire another person. But I'm not sure. We have to do a cost benefit analysis to see if it's worth spending, getting a whole new EP for something we can already do in-house. If you want, we can send you the numbers. If we can get that question already, we can send the numbers on the exact dollar amounts that we bring in every year.
Okay, thank you. I'll see you on my next go around.
Okay, thank you. You got that for a question?
I have it in writing. I can send to them as well.
Okay.
I got a
We got
whole page.
Trying to answer fast.
Okay, next we have Member Johnson, followed by Member Rollins-Fernandez.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chief, for joining us today. I know you're super busy. I was reviewing your responses to our questions, and I really appreciate some of the response to that, but I do have a couple other questions. The Fire Hazard Removal Fund, that's where you, if there's a property that is overrun with bush, you guys cite them, you warn them, and then eventually you'll remove it and then give them the bill. Now, that's my understanding of how it goes. One of my questions was, what about county-owned lands for fire hazard removal? We don't charge ourselves. If Parks has if there's a county-owned land that's under Parks purview, you folks, I'm curious what you guys do in that situation, because in your response you said, we work with Department of Parks, we work with Public Works when there's county-owned land that the fire department feels that it should be taken care of. Can you speak to what that means by working with Parks and working with Public Works for fire hazard removal?
Hello, I can answer that question. So fire prevention, whenever there's a concern on county property, our inspector goes out, verifies the landowner, which is county. We document all of the concerns in our map system, and then we report it to Public Works or Parks. And then it's kind of assigned to the Highways Division of the certain area, and that supervisor mitigates that concern, and they report back to fire prevention when it's done.
So is there a certain amount of days you give them, or you just say, here's an area needs to be taken care of? Is there a certain amount of time that they get, do you allow them, or is it different every time?
We let them know our county's process, which is 30 days. But again, we work with the supervisor, and they try to meet that 30-day requirement.
Okay, I heard my time up. Just a yes or no. How's it working out? Are you guys able to get things done in a timely manner?
So far, they've been very cooperative, and they were able to get most of these areas done within 30 days.
Okay, thank you for so much. My time's up. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Next, Member Rollins-Fernandez, followed by Member Cook, then Hodgins.
Mahalo, Chair. I'll dovetail, and aloha department, aloha chief and team. I can't see everyone that's there. So my first question will dovetail kind of off of Member Johnson's, and that's regarding question 13, recruitment and retention. The junior lifeguard program is, I agree, a great recruitment tool. And the championship for the junior lifeguard championship will be on Maui this year. Does the department plan to invest any funds toward the cost of the championship since it's going to be on Maui this year?
We have HLA and MLA that's helping out a lot with the cost, and because it's here in Maui, the flights was a big cost traveling, and we don't encompass that being that it's here. But we could also use help with you volunteering if you're free. Councilmember Rollins too. Yeah, but it's going to be here at Kanapali. We have the ROE permit. We just got it. I'm going to send them up to council for review, and it's to go August 9th.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, my next question is regarding the new position for a grant coordinator. Is this to, and Assistant Chief Giese has been doing a great job with the FEMA reimbursements. Is this to assist Assistant Chief Giese, or is this like totally separate?
Thanks for the question. So currently in our department, we don't have anybody that manages, applies for, or tracks grants dedicated to that. We use firefighters who are willing to help us work in that arena. And because they don't work Monday through Friday, and sometimes they work on weekends, we have a hard time kind of communicating and getting things done in a timely manner, occasionally. So our goal is to employ a full-time grants coordinator that will do all that. Between DOT, FEMA, AFG, SAFER, and all the grants that we apply for, that would be the person. Chief Giese is retired, and Chief Giese is doing some pro bono work for us, but we're gonna owe him something eventually because he's doing a lot of work on Fridays for that FEMA public assistance grant.
Oh, congratulations, Assistant Chief Giese. I didn't know he retired. Okay, wow. Okay, wow. Those are big shoes to fill. Okay, so regarding the MOU that was discussed in testimony today, firefighters getting requesting parity with police as far as not fronting costs for flights, and so is that something the department is supportive of? Also, have you folks looked into, like, the retired vehicles from the different departments maybe to send here so that firefighters wouldn't need to send buy multiple vehicles, because that's a big cost. I know, because I have to be on 2 islands.
Certainly. Great question. So some of what's being discussed is already in our budget. We reimburse them for their flights to and from Molokai. If they live here in Maui, we reimburse them for ferry tickets. We give them the ferry tickets, so there's no cost for travel there. On Lanai, there's a company vehicle that's available at the harbor. It transports everybody to the station, so nobody needs a vehicle on Lanai. But what we're looking at, working with the union on, is something, it's in negotiations is where it's at right now, for us to provide those additional ways and means for our firefighters to not have to be burdened. A lot of our young firefighter ones that make the lowest amount of pay have to travel, rent a house, get a car. We understand that. So we're working with the union on an MOA for that. We support that.
For Molokai. Because it sounds like Lanai is covered, but Molokai is the challenge, and the cost to get to Molokai, a ferry ticket versus a mokulele ticket is pretty substantial, especially when you're, first year.
Correct. Yeah. So it's more, we're more concerned with Molokai because of the schedule as well as the cost of housing and travel there.
Mahalo, Chief. Mahalo, Chair.
Okay, very good. Next, Member Cook, then Member Uhajas to follow, and then Sinensi.
Thank you, Chair. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for your service. And as far as the ocean safety for the lifeguard stations, what's the life expectancy? Those are basically temporary structures. Is that correct?
far as the life expectancy, I cannot really say much on that. We have several wooden towers, depending on the location, like those over on the north side of the island, they take a beating. They take a beating with the wind and the salt. So we do repairs yearly, sometimes every 2 years, and can be costly. The fiberglass ones, they, some on Oahu have been there for over 15 years, and we have 2 at McKenna that's been there since McKenna opened at 2009. They have shown wear and tear, and we are in the process of getting 2 new ones. So anywhere from 10 to 15 years for the fiberglass, maybe.
Well, thank you. My question is kind of twofold. One, it's financial, and the other aspect is the permitting and the delays to getting a permit. The classification, maybe I'll talk to planning later about this, but the classification of the structure, it just strikes me as counterintuitive that a lifeguard station is so problematic to get permitted. It's normally, am I correct, it's either going to be on state or county land?
Correct.
Are any on private property?
Just in the future, Pu'ukeka'a will be.
Pardon?
In the future, Pu'ukeka'a will be.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm just getting at it. It's generally county property, government use, government facility, government employees for the benefit of the public. And I'll put in writing, Chair, but I'd like to get an idea of the permits that are required and the delays that it costs. And there again, I'm not beating up on anybody, but it's just sort of striving for our government to be more effective and efficient and meeting the goals and objectives that we're all setting out. Financially, we are funding these. And so it's a great idea to do fiberglass because they're going to last longer. But there again, if we could provide what we need locally and just maintain them. That's really my question, was bringing the attention of that, and we will ask that question in writing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Staff, you got that question about permitting? Okay. Next member, Hodgins.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you guys for being with us today. I'm going to follow up on what Member Rollins Fernandez was talking about with the Molokai firemen and their fire station. As you know, that was personal for me for about 14 long months. So I see that there's an increase from $48,000 to $60,000 for airfare and transportation. Is that are we anticipating the cost to be more expensive, or are we going to fully reimburse the firemen flying over? Because they were reimbursed, but not fully.
So, yeah, we just changed the MOU. Our MOU used to have a ceiling of $474 a month. Now it's $672 a month.
Okay.
That's the increase.
Okay, good. And then for the $36,000 expansion for the additional funding for rent, is that going to be per diem, or are you guys going to rent a house for the people there?
The idea behind firefighter housing there would be rent a house and treat it like a hotbed. The reason is because they're 24 hours at the station and 24 hours off duty. So only 1/3 of the people will be at the house at a time. And of course, our ultimate goal is to fill those positions with qualified Molokai people. And that's why we don't really want to buy a house, because then we might end up with a house that nobody's in.
Sure.
So our long-term goal has always been, and probably always will be, but we want to get as little rent as possible and as many residents there in those jobs.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, if it wasn't for my brother-in-law living in Manai, and my husband having to take a 40-minute drive every morning, we probably couldn't afford the, I guess his increase in pay would have just been gone to rent and flights. But I appreciate you guys figuring this out, because it is important. For your additional fire ones, for 6 of them, I see they're going to go to Kahului and Wailea. So you're going to have 1 new firefighter per watch then. And you guys have enough space and furniture needed for the 1 additional person for both Kahului and Wailea?
Yes.
Wailea is huge, so that my real question is Kahului, their space.
Yes, and commonly, people are on vacation or teaching or out, and that person will just fulfill those spots. And that position also fulfills one of our AAR recommendations, which is on red flag days to put a second person on a water tanker.
Okay.
So that's where they may be used as
On the
well.
water tanker?
So we could move them to whatever station the tanker is at for the day, depending on where the red flag warning is.
Kind of a floater then?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And then for future financial planning for our future stations, I see that Kihei needs to be moved, Paia needs to be moved, which I'm bummed about because that's my favorite station. I see that there's $8 million something in there now to accommodate in a few years. But in a few future years, when we need more additional stations, are we budgeting for that as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, one of the studies we're working on is called the Standards of Cover. That'll identify future stations, not just moving stations. And then that'll give us an idea of how much more we need to budget to create new stations. These stations that are being moved, Kihei and Paia, that $8 million right now is really a placeholder. It's our best guess.
By the cost of Haiku Fire Station, I can tell that's about half the cost.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Member Senensi, followed by Member Kama, Lee, then myself.
Hello, Chair, and some of my questions were already asked, but I'll ask a couple more. Mahalo, Chief Ventura and staff. For your grants that were awarded to the department, particularly the FEMA grants, are they, again, do they have conditions on how to use those grant funding? Looks like safety grant, management assistant grant, and the public assistance grant.
Councilmember Senensi, can I just ask a follow-up question? Are you looking at the proposed grant items in our FY26?
The ones that you received on page 311 for fire and public safety. Federal funding.
So I'll just start while Chief Otsubo looks more specifically at the grant. Every grant we apply for does have specific requirements, whether it's matching or the type of equipment that it goes for, or if it's a reimbursement grant. They all have different rules depending on where we get the funds from.
Okay, so if it's FEMA, like I see that there's some equipment vehicles for Lahaina, the air compressor, and the Quint truck. So would those grant funding be able to fund those as well?
There are certain grants that we apply for, like CDBG, that covers rural area, but because of the location of those items that you mentioned, they generally would not qualify for grants.
Oh, got it. Okay. All right. And then I know that we had some earlier discussions about housing for East Maui. Do we still need more housing expansion for the Hana Fire Department?
Because the schedule in Hana is 3 days on and 6 days off, the current situation is that housing out there is not needed because the members will just drive into work, and then after their 3 days, they're off for 6 days, so they return to their home.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. And then we did have the ocean safety talk about a location to house their equipment. Is there a designated location for ocean safety to house their equipment, or there's different locations in each district?
We have storages at our districts to store equipment, but we have outgrown a lot. There's a lot of backup equipment that we have that we're sharing at the Wailuku station that's over full. So we are in need of a bigger place right now, and just was waiting on approval for funding so we can start looking. We did quote and location earlier prior, but that location has been taken already, so we're just waiting for approval.
Okay, thank you for those responses. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Next, we have Member Kamadan Lee.
Thank you, Chair. So, thank you for being here, Chief. So, I wanted to ask the question, you know, in the responses that you sent to us on April 4th, let me get to that. I think was question 5, external factors, and then goes all the way to A, B, C, and under C it says, the permitting and approval processes for building new fire stations, lifeguard towers, or renovating existing ones often involve multiple layers of bureaucracy, environmental impact assessments, special management area SMA use permits, state historic preservation division, flood assessments, etc. And these lengthy approval timelines also increase construction due to inflation. The department also encounters delays in hiring due to civil service requirements, union negotiations, and consultations, as well as archaic processes required by other County of Maui departments. So I wanted to ask you, what did you mean by archaic processes? Because I've heard that in different words during the budget session. But also, the real question is, you know, because of Haiku Fire Station is not going to materialize and you were already planning to have 15 additional personnel with the station, what will happen to those 15 additional personnel?
Okay, thank you for all the questions. There was a lot there in the first statement. Is the process is for us, we're trying to technologically advance our department as quickly as possible. We all know that county sometimes lags behind the private sector, so we're pushing forward softwares, pushing forward efficiencies to lower costs, and county finance does that regularly. We've gone to a P-card system versus a PO system. These are all great things that enhance speed and efficiency. For us, it's part of the process where we have to create positions and hire people that if there's a way for us to do it more efficiency. We have a new software called Workday. It's been going a few years, but I don't think we're fully using it to its to the best of its ability when it comes to reorging and creating positions and stuff. And people are working really, really hard with our department to try to get things done, but I just feel sorry that they have to work so hard on things. Your second question was about Haiku. We have not put 15 positions in a Haiku budget yet. We'll probably do that once we know the construction timeline, meaning we have a bid on the job and a groundbreaking date and a notice to proceed. Then we'll put that in the budget because it'll probably take a year and a half to 2 years to actually build the station, and by then we can fill the positions. We have, however, in this budget that we're currently in, ordered the fire truck because the fire truck takes 4 years. So we're fully committed to this project.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chair. I heard the bell.
Thank you, Member Kama. Next, we have Chair Lee.
Thank you. Most of my questions have been asked, but I did want to check with the Chief. Good morning, Chief.
Morning.
To ask you if all those new communication devices that you're ordering and the police is ordering, they're all the same, right? As MEMA, Water Department, DEM, Public Works, all the same.
Thanks, Chair. If you're referring to radios, yes, we have interoperability between our radio system. When it comes to softwares, ours are fairly fire and ocean safety specific, but when it comes to the comms, yes, we can speak to each other.
So that will definitely improve what happened in August of 2023, right?
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Very good. Thank you, Chair Lee. So I would like to ask about fireworks that we did meet, and we had a meeting with Fire and Chief. And we said that we would kind of pause on doing any kind of legislation until we find out what's happening with the bills that are running through the legislature, as it is a priority with the state. But going back to our budget, So will you be recommending any fees or adjustments in the existing structure? I didn't see anything for that. In our fee structure, in our permits. Department.
There's no. Yeah, our fees this year are remaining pretty flat for permitting, and the reason is I think they're connected and regulated also by HRS. So we'd have to change the HRS in order to change our certain fines and fees. We accomplished that with the fire code this year, but that doesn't touch the firework permits.
Okay, so.
I can confirm that,
okay,
yes, it
Deputy
does
Director.
come from HRS.
Okay. Yeah, when we met, you were really on top of HRS and the laws, so thank you very much, Deputy Director. And I was going to ask a lot of questions that have been asked already. So pretty much we are ready for round 2, which would be 2 minutes. Is there anybody, starting with Member Paulton?
I don't know if you can remind us if MCC got updated so that fines related to the fire code, is it deposited into the fire hazard removal fund? Did we do that already, or we just were talking about doing that?
Department?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, it was added.
Okay, and then, so I had a couple of options, like you guys are requesting 250,000 from the general fund to go into the fire hazard removal fund. And I don't think, because it's a revolving fund, it won't ever go back to the general fund. Is it possible that funds could be transferred from the plan review, processing, and inspection revolving fund, or left under a general fund balance instead of transferring it to revolving funds? Because I don't think it ever goes back to general fund after it gets into a revolving fund.
You can start.
Okay, for 1063, the fire hazard removal revolving fund, I don't think there is rules set for that one yet. But as far as the plan review fund, that comes from our fire code, and that one, I guess, cannot.
Okay.
It's only for 2 plan reviewers and anything fire prevention related.
So removing fire hazards isn't fire prevention related?
So that one is, I guess you're talking about the 2 separate funds. The 1063, I guess we can look into that one.
And then I was wondering what was the rationale behind the decision to put Starlink in each BC vehicle as opposed to the fire stations?
Thanks for that question. And the Starlinks are basically, if there is some sort of event where the cell service goes out, the BCs will be responding to that area. And if it is a station that we want to leave it at, we will. But a lot of times, if we need command and control and communications back to the EOC and cell service is lost, we want it there on scene immediately so we can continue communicating. So that was the goal. And not only with cell service, but also with the ability to send our drone footage back to the EOC.
Was the BC able to come to Lahaina August 8th?
Yes.
And then why do they need camper shells to take the trucks home?
So the current battalion chief vehicle, in the back of it, it has a camper shell that covers it. And inside of it is oxygen bottles. The drones, the Starlinks will go in there. They deliver supplies. They have their mapping for command and control. So all those things will also be placed, similar items, in the future BC vehicles that we're asking for.
Oh, I thought you were just asking for camper shells.
No, I think it's 2 trucks with camper shells is what the BC vehicles are for.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Member Johnson, Rollins Fernandez, Cook, then Hodgins. 2 minutes, and then after we do this, we're done, we'll take a break. We've kind of overextended. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Many of my questions have been. Hey, Chair, many of my questions have been answered. I'm just curious about the 13% in premium pay increase, if I'm reading that correct. Chief, how does the overtime, how's that affect, first off, the performance of the folks, of your workers, but also, do you think that number will go down after you have that new recruit class?
Great question. So, although overtime is required for us to meet minimum staffings, that oftentimes is not the majority of our overtime. If you picture it this way, we work 24-hour shifts, so we work every other day. If you take a class that's 4 or 5 days long, you're receiving 2 or 3 days of overtime that week. So our training creates overtime opportunities. If you're an instructor, if you're a teacher, if you're in our honor guard, if you're a grant writer and you're a firefighter doing it on your day off, we currently have a PIO who's a firefighter 3 who does PIO work on their day off. That's just a small sample of the many things that we put into our premium pay budget. And then things that happen on the weekends, medical standby, community events, job fairs, all those sorts of things are also done by people usually on the weekends on overtime.
There's no getting around it, it sounds. Okay, thanks for your response, and my questions have been answered. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Johnson. Next, we have Member Rollins-Fernandez, followed by Member Cook and Hodgins.
Hello, Chair. Okay. Okay. Regarding the building maintenance supervisor 1 and building maintenance repair 1, do you anticipate this improving efficiency and timeliness of building maintenance and repairs on Molokai? Will this limit or restrict MFD to use in-house maintenance only?
These employees will be available for all of our stations, districts, and locations, including Molokai. Our small BMR team right now is looking at doing the remodel of the EOC on Molokai. They've been over there a couple of times to kind of plan that project out. And our goal is basically to build them out because those people just pay for themselves every single year, so we don't have to contract the work out.
Okay, mahalo. And then my apologies if you already kind of explained this in a different way, but regarding the grants the one grant that was denied and one that's pending, I think still, for community wildfire defense, the 4.4 million and then 4.5 million for Fire Prevention Bureau and prevention positions, or positions in the Fire Prevention Bureau. What is the plan moving forward since that 4.4 million was denied?
So this is a grant that we applied for the first time last year, and it was denied. So we learned from our applications where there were some maybe places that we could make it stronger. And so we reapplied this year with hopefully a better grant application that gets us at least some of the funds that we're asking for. It isn't an aggressive ask because we're asking for not only the 4 positions for several years, but also for fire mitigation work through the grant as well. So, we have not filled these positions. We haven't hired them, and we don't have to pay for them unless we get them. So once we get them, then we'll create the 4 positions.
Mahalo, Chief. And real quick, mahalo, for always keeping me updated on Molokai specific projects, Puko'o Fire Station relocation, and the progress of, constructing the Ualapu'e station. I see it in the budget, and I know the updates and the challenges that we have encountered. So I just, mahalo you for keeping me posted on all of that. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you. Member Cook, Member Hodgins, and Member Sinensi.
Thank you, Chair. My questions have been answered. I just want to thank the department for everything they do. Mahalo.
Oh, thank you. Member Hodgins.
Thank you, Chair. I see that we have budget for ocean safety to have their own space. Do we have that space selected already, or are we in the finding someplace stage?
We looked earlier at a space, but it was taken, and we're in the finding stage right now. Just as wanting to make sure that we had the funding approved from you guys to move forward with it, and then we'll definitely start looking.
Okay. I asked because the last time we had, I think Office of the Mayor, they said Hagai Institute has lots of space. So just FYI.
Q.
Yeah. And then other than that, I do not have any further questions. Not only did they answer our questions very thoroughly, but I had an opportunity to call and ask more questions. So I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you so much. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Member Senensi, Lee to follow.
My questions were responded to in the write-up. Thank you.
Okay, great. Member Kama, then Chair Lee.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm looking at page 11 on the CIP program. In the capital improvement program summary for the department, there are 24.9 million of project expenditures program for fiscal year 26. Does the department have sufficient capacity to manage this level of capital improvement expenditures? And what were the total amount of capital expenditures in the most recent fiscal year of 2024? And how many of those projects were completed? And has the department started on any capital improvements program for fiscal year 2025?
Thank you for those questions. Those are outstanding. Our CIP, although it appears on paper as if there's not a lot going on, there's a ton going on. And we tried to kind of illustrate that in the answers to the questions that we received. If we didn't cover all of the projects to your depth or liking, please submit more questions to us so that we can answer them. Most of the projects in 2024 are either underway or have been affected. The ones that might have been in countywide fire facilities, that's our kind of smaller repair. I call those one phase or single phase CIPs, maybe a roof or a paving project. Hopefully it's not a multiple year project. Those, we try to get as many of those done every single year as possible. And with the facility assessments that we did, and there's a question on page 5 about that. The facility assessments are basically daylighting all the repairs that we need to do. So those are the things that are coming up in our countywide fire facilities budget. This is the most we've asked for in the past years, and that's why we're asking for the team of people. The CIP coordinator we already have, the BMR supervisor with the BMRs underneath them. A lot of the smaller work they can get done, or at least they can work on contracts and bidding and that sort of thing. So we have accomplished most of the projects that we've asked for. Some of them have moved further down the road just because of permitting and planning. But other than that, the small stuff we're definitely getting done.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chief.
So you're done?
No questions.
Okay. Chair Lee, no questions?
No questions.
Okay, I just have one and then I'm done. So of your CIP projects, as we're looking at the CIP charts, we had anticipated, as we discussed, the 15 million earmark, which we didn't get. But there are other projects which are in general fund. So Budget Director, if you could tell us in writing which projects or what you plan to do in terms of bond funds, or if you're not going to bond fund any of the fire needs.
Thank you, Chair, and I'm happy to also respond in writing, but at this time, we hadn't planned to bond fund. We are waiting to see what happens with the congressionally directed spending. If that 15 million doesn't come through, then yes, we will certainly consider the possibility of bond funds to finish that project.
Oh, so the 15 million maybe is happening? I thought we heard it did not get funded.
Thank you, Chair. As Fire Chief stated, they said it didn't get funded, but administration and fire have met with our congressional folks and asked them to resubmit the request, both for current funding and for possible next year funding. So we're waiting to see the result of that before we formally remove it from the budget.
Oh, interesting. Their fiscal year is a little different than ours, so we'll see what you're doing. Hopefully, there's some strategy to that may apply. All right, members, so anybody else, member Paulton has a question, then we're going to take a break, or anybody else, then we'll take a break. Go ahead. 2 minutes.
I just had couple more questions. For the department total machinery and equipment on page 10 of your second set of answers, it indicates the amount should be $9,833,776, but general fund total is listed at $8,473,336. Revolving fund is $135,000. And grant revenue fund is $1,233,606 for a total of $9,841,942. Is that correct, or is it the $9,833,776?
You lost me on the second number, I'll be honest.
I'll submit it in writing.
We can definitely go do the math to make sure it's clear. There was a inversion that we caught though, right?
Yeah.
In the chart.
I was questioning if the 9 million number was accurate. The other question I had is if we anticipate that it'll take at least 6 months into the fiscal year to build the tower and get all the permits and everything, all the OSO positions are OSO 2s, and if we only fund 6 months, can we fund OSO 1s?
Yeah, I would say based on the rate of speed for construction and stuff, that's acceptable. And if we
Because
need
if
to
it's
come
less
for
than 6 months, you're gonna hire all SR-15. Yeah.
yeah, they'll be hired as SR 15s when they get into recruit class. Yes.
Okay. And then, does the department inspect private fire hydrants?
We pay the water department to do inspection and maintenance of the fire hydrants. That's part of what you see in our budget. That's sometimes awkward. People wonder what are your water charges for? And so that's what we do there. But we do have a system for inspecting private water systems as they get installed, and we're starting to track them through our Live software when they follow the maintenance program and are installed in there. So I think you had a question about that in the questions we tried to elaborate on.
Okay, just because I got calls from the Olowalu folks about that other thing that one time, I'll submit the rest of my questions in writing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? See none. So I'll just make I don't see in your budget, and I hope we do see the last union that we have not provided support for COVID is the firefighters, and I hope that we do resolve that with negotiations with the mayor, and we'll look forward to seeing that hopefully in the future. Okay, members, anybody else have any questions for fire? If not, I'll excuse them. We'll take do you want to take a 10-minute break? And then we'll come back with Member Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo, Chair. Support 10-minute break. Just wanted to remind you that my video will be off. I'm gonna be en route to Maui.
Okay, thank you. We'll watch you bounce around when you're on the video. I always is kind of interesting. All right, members. So at this time it's 11 o'clock. We'll come back at 11:10. Recess. And thank you very much, Chief, and your team for being here and taking our questions and doing such a good job. Thank you. Oh, did you want to say something to us before you leave? Welcome back to the Budget, Finance, Economic Development Committee. We completed fire and public safety, and now we're going to head to the planning department. But before I do, I wanted to just give a special shout out to Chloe, Ventura, which is Chief Ventura's daughter. And I've been hearing about her for years. She's sweet when I, meet them, and she's very warm and personable. But I remember this one story that Chief said is that when she comes home or she leaves, she'll say, "Do you miss me yet?" Can you imagine when she goes off to college? Their house is going to be so sad, so cute. But anyway, she baked us cookies. So one of the good things about being here in person is that you get to eat this chocolate chip cookies that Chloe Ventura made. And we don't leave any in your inbox because it might disappear. So, members, at this time, we're going to proceed with the Department of Planning. I'm going to turn this over to Director Blystone. Is there anybody else here with you?
Hello,
you
Chair.
and Anna. You and Deputy.
Just really quickly, we had also Connie Govea is online and available to answer questions too if we need to get to that. But that was the only addition. Everyone else is still the same. Danny Diaz, Jackie Takakura, Carolyn Cortez, and Scott Forsyth are joining us online along.
And given the vacancy rate, how does the department expect to fill the expansion positions requested? This is on page 642 of your equivalent personnel summary by position title, General Fund Program Budget.
Mahalo for your question. So the answer to your questions, we have 57.5% positions filled at this time. I apologize. I was looking for something in the second part of your question I missed.
Oh.
How to fill them?
Given the current vacancy rate, does the department expect to fill the expansion positions requested?
Yes, thank you for that question. So we do expect, those are high priorities for us. There's been an increased need for media. We've had media requests, and having an additional position to help Anna and I field those requests is really critical. And then grant, we have quite a bit of grant management responsibility, and we don't have a grant manager. So we're doing some of that internally, and then for other aspects of our work, we're farming that out. So it should be, I think we'll find those positions rather quickly and be able to fill them.
Okay. Second question. The proposed FY 2026 budget recognizes a $6.675 million grant from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which is not a new grant, but carries a 50% county match. Where is the 50% coming from? And is that match in other departments? The description indicates the acquisition of 423 acres of coastal land by the county. Was the value of this land acquisition counted as part of the match for this grant? And that's on page 646 of your grant award description.
Mahalo,
program budget.
Mahalo, council member. Yeah, so this was a mistake in our budget. There is no match for this grant, and so the rest of your question doesn't really apply. It was just an error in the description of what it would need to be. There is no 50% match required for this grant.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have for now, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chair Lee, followed by Member Paulton. Oh, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Chair Lee. Chair Lee, we can't hear you. Oh.
Yeah, thanks. I can't see. There's such a glare on the screen. Anyway, Director, your grants program, do you work on it in conjunction with other departments so that there's a coordination and a timing that's followed, as well as work? We know that we have enough resources to handle all grants. So is there a coordinated effort within the administration on grants?
Mahalo for your question. So I think we are still getting our heads around what our responsibility regarding grants is, and this mostly falls within the SMA revolving fund. So we're involved in that, but we don't have a grants administration program, and so we rely on the kindness of other departments to help administer those programs. The most recent one is being executed by DEM, if I'm not mistaken, and so that is how we're doing it. So there is natural coordination just by nature of the fact that we aren't set up to manage outgoing grants. We do have several grants.
The engagement was extremely well done. We had high engagement, a lot of interest from individuals checking out that market event at Wailuku First Friday, and we plan to do more outreach events as well. Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. No more questions.
Okay, very good. Following, we'll have Member Paulton, then Johnson, then Rollins Fernandez is on her way.
Do you know when the department's planner series position descriptions have been last updated and or reorganized?
Mahalo for your question. I'm going to ask Connie to jump on and answer that question because she has that deepest knowledge. I'm not sure if she was paying attention, but you were asking for the last update of our planner series position descriptions when that happened. Connie, are you available?
Yes, good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
In the chamber?
Yes.
Okay, hi, aloha. So sorry I couldn't be there this morning, wasn't feeling the best, but I was able to get online and I would be happy to answer that question for you. So yes, we regularly review our planner series position descriptions based on the ever-changing work we do. Over the last 2 years as well, we have gotten rid of, in conjunction with DPS, the testing portion to become a planner. So now it's just based on training and experience. Yes, and so we just, once we get a list from them, before we get a list, we make sure all of our position descriptions are still accurate and correct for each of our different divisions and sections. So I'd say it's relatively updated, definitely.
Okay, and then there's 9 vacancies at the planner 4 level and higher. Is there any flexibility to hire at a lower level and train up to what is needed?
Thank you for that question. So we have been doing that. We have been bringing people in at planner 1 level and progressing them through. There are certain, so that is definitely the case. And part of the reason why we have such a robust training budget is because we need to train planners to level up and get into those senior planner 5 positions. So we certainly have been doing that. We also just need people at planner 5 positions who have experience. So we've been doing a combination of both of those things.
Are all of the department's 24 vacancies currently in open recruitment?
I'm going to ask.
So a lot of times our recruit above the minimum is tied to an open recruit. So a lot of times our recruit above the minimum is tied to an open recruitment to be able to offer the higher wages for the positions that are eligible for that RAM, as DPS calls it, recruit above the minimum.
I heard the bell. Thank you.
Very good. Now we have Member Johnson, followed by, I think Member Rollins Fernandez is still trying to get here, followed by Cook, Hodgins, and Sinensi.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Director, Deputy Director. Thank you for joining us today. I know how busy your schedules are. This is a question that everybody seems to struggle with, is filling those positions. And Councilmember Paulton asked my question on those empty positions. Has the union worked with you guys on any of this? Has there been any pushback, or is there some kind of plan working with the union on any suggestions for getting these positions filled?
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson, for the question. The union has been extremely supportive and very helpful in guiding us in this new role, and I would say that there is generally no opposition to any sort of changes we try to make to position descriptions, our goals of trying to enact supplemental agreements. So they're a very helpful partner. Thank you.
Wonderful. How are you guys doing the retention pay? That's something that I'm sure other departments could learn from you guys. How's it going?
Thank you very much for the question, Councilmember Johnson. So you might be familiar with the Department of Environmental Management has a supplemental agreement for their wastewater workers, and you might also be familiar with the dispatchers have a supplemental agreement as well. And so we're following the similar templates that have been laid out by our fellow departmental counterparts, and so basically we're following a similar template to that, but for planners there's a state differential that is a different process but similar enough to engage the union, work with the mayor, work with the budget, etc. Thank you.
Well, that's been such an issue. I'm really fascinated by your response to the questions being that morale being your top priority. That says a lot to me as someone who's outside of your department. How much do you think pay has to do with that versus workload or all the things, but specifically pay?
Mahalo for that question. I think, this is just me opining, right? I think it matters differently for different people, right? If you are a single person, pay may not be as important, but, when you have a full family, that may be the thing that gets you up in the morning, is knowing that you're going to earn what you deserve for the work that you're doing. Especially as you mentioned, the work that we're doing is really difficult, especially right now. And to be able to pay people better, would be a huge boost to their morale. They know that they're doing, most of our staffers work at the county because they want to do good. They want to make a difference. And it's a reason I think everyone in this room is here. So to be able to pay them for that is really important to us.
So that's a great answer, Director, and thank you for that. I know you did in question number 15 mention about professional services that you folks are paying out for, to lighten the load. Can you look at more professional services? Is that something on your radar to have contracts to make it not such a heavy burden for your department?
Mahalo for that question. I go back and forth on this. I very much want to invest in our workforce here in Maui County, because I think when we invest in our workforce here in Maui County, we are ensuring institutional memory. We're ensuring a better product over time. And every time we've hired a consultant, not every time, this is unfair, but many times when you hire a consultant, it takes a little time. It takes energy and time to get them on board and to understand what we're all about. But when you invest in an employee here, then you're able to see the benefits of that investment over time. So I'm more inclined to invest in our employees rather than shift to professional services.
Thank you, Director. My time is up. I just want to backtrack with just a simple response, if you can, if Chair will allow it. How much is your retention pay? Do you have a number?
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. We are looking upwards of $500 as a minimum starting point, and that's reflected in the budget, but we are hopeful that if, depending on recruitment and other cuts that the council might place upon our budget, that we could go higher than that, but that would be the basement level.
Okay, 500. I've seen fast food workers get a little bit bigger check than that, but okay, thanks so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Member Cook, followed by Member Uhajans.
Thank you, Chair. Before I ask my question, may I ask the Chair the intentions for timeline because of the afternoon meeting? Are we going to stop for lunch or?
So we're going to finish this meeting and then we're done for today.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Okay, so my questions for my friends at planning. Land use and building permits, the number of vacancies is 1. How many people are in that department or in that? How many people are dealing with land use and permitting, building permits?
1 second while I pull the right thing up.
And then I guess while you're multitasking, I'm curious also how many people are due to retire in that department.
Do you want to start?
Would you call it a department?
Within that division, we do have an employee with a very long tenure, and we do anticipate within the next under 5 years, perhaps 2 years that they might retire, and they've prepared us for that. And so that has led us to try to train up her staff to take on her role. Thank you.
And I'm doing really quick math here, and my thing is not really the best, but I would say between 12, like around 12 people between planners and examiners and permit clerks that are working in that section.
So it's pretty staffed up if you have one vacancy.
Yeah, I'm seeing more than one vacancy, but maybe it's because we're doing our math differently. That's okay.
My next question is briefly a Planner 5 description of duties, the one that you're having challenges filling.
Yeah, so that is an excellent question. So it depends on what division you're in, right? So I'm going to stay pretty high level, but a Planner 5's position is a senior planner position, and they're meant to know as much as they possibly can about their subject matter area. So if they're a shoreline planner, they know SMA and shoreline rules inside and out. If they're in long range planning, they're expected to manage projects and run those projects. So they run our community plans. That's in that division. Same with zoning enforcement. So any place that we have a Planner 5, they're just meant to be the subject matter expert for that division.
So that description to me sounds like that's something that comes from within. It'd be hard to hire someone from outside who's Akamai and totally up to speed with Maui, with the planning department's rules and regulations in each of those divisions.
I think that's somewhat fair, but I came into this county as a Planner 5. So you can get it from outside, even from off island, as long as you're looking for the right person. If you have someone who has the right sensibility, who has the right background, because planning is planning is planning. All it is really is a matter of looking at our rules and learning those rules. So as long as you've had experience applying the rules in other jurisdictions, whether it's here in Hawaii or in other places, you can do that.
Thank you. I heard the bell. I'll wait for my next round. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Member Hodgins, followed by Member Sinensi.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you guys for being with us today. I wanted to discuss the professional services for additional funding for consultant services to entitle county-owned land for housing. So this is going to be within planning and not in the housing department, or how are you guys going to work together to figure this out?
That's a great question, Mahalo. So this is a joint effort between the Department of Housing and the Department of Planning, and our model for that is what County of Kauai did for Limaola. That project required multiple efforts from multiple departments, and we're going to do the same thing. So I think the way it's looking like it will turn up is we'll work with housing to identify the parcel, and then it'll be our job to work with the consultant to go through the entitlement process for that parcel.
Okay.
With support from housing.
This is going to be the most interesting thing to watch us go through this as a county entity, navigating through our own government systems and making it work. Speaking of, you folks, planning, they don't have any CIP, but overall in the county, we do. And when I was looking at Public Works CIP, a lot of their job is to figure out all the maintenance for this building in the Wailuku campus, which made me wonder about parking. So does the county have a comprehensive parking plan for the Wailuku campus? Because I don't think we have enough parking. And every time we do any renovation for any other building that's not county government owned, we need to add more parking. Except this county government, we keep doing EPs and expansions, but we don't see the parking to come along with it. So where is your folks' role in ensuring that our county employees have enough spaces to park?
So I saw this, thank you for that question. And yeah. I saw this in our letter, and it now has been transmitted to you, I believe, so you'll have access to those answers. And I took that question to be, how are we going to handle our expansion positions, which we have plenty of parking in our current lot and plus the Wailuku parking structure. But to your bigger question about how we handle parking. So we review it on a project by project basis, but I think the question of whether or not there's a comprehensive study of parking really should go to the Office of Management. They are handling the Wailuku parking structure thing all of that.
Okay.
And so I hesitate to answer that question.
Sure, the study, but the parking code comes under planning.
Correct. Yeah. So on a project by project basis, we'll review that and provide
Okay.
and apply the code as appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, we see like this entire building just got a little facelift, which is very much needed, but I would have assumed parking requirements would have come with the facelift because it was a substantial renovation. And anytime you do something like this, then on the outside, we would have needed to provide parking. Regardless if we touched any of the parking, we would have to create it to code. Yeah, I've done it so many times.
Thank you, council members. So we can take a closer look at that, but oftentimes people can avail themselves of their prior parking requirements when they go through a similar big lift in terms of improving their site. And so likely they either we were allowed to continue on with our non-conforming parking, or
or
we were already compliant.
Director's waiver.
I don't think we. That is true. We do have the ability to waive parking.
Yeah.
That could have been in the file. I haven't reviewed.
I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything, not you folks. I'm just asking how we're going to ensure that this county isn't hypocritical and we provide enough parking for our employees. Like, that is an issue. If you have to park off campus and walk up, all of that, if you want to talk about morale, makes it easier. Like, we get parking stalls and it's so easy to park right there and walk here, especially like if it's raining and we're on camera. And I assume for everybody else, that must be an issue. Parking is important. I mean, so that was my question.
Just to add on, I'm hearing from Carolyn that there is no change if there's no change in use, then the additional parking is not required. So that's probably why this, and
We're going
it's
from
only tied
office to office to office. What about when we change from storage to office? Because we do that too.
Oh, that's an excellent question.
I'm not trying to split hairs. Nobody wants split ends, but I'm just asking. Thank you so much.
Mahalo.
Good question. Member Sinensi.
Chair, and mahalo, Director Blackstone and Deputy Director. Just a couple, and my apologies, I haven't seen the responses to the questions yet, but just a couple questions on the SMA boundary assessment for 250,000. Is that going to go out for RFP?
Yes, it will.
And do you have just basically what that assessment would entail?
Sure. I think and it's a great question, Mahalo. I think that what we're looking at is a deeper study of our SMA boundary and figuring out an SMA boundary that makes sense, likely built on science instead of just right now it's anything that's Mackay of the major highway. We would love to just evaluate whether or not that makes sense given what that special management area is trying to achieve, and look at potentially adopting a different line that more accurately reflects an area that's special.
Okay, would that assessment come with recommendations you're asking for in that assessment?
Yeah, they would be recommendations to the Maui Planning Commission on how to move forward.
Okay, thank you for that, Director. And then you have $455,339 for anticipated overtime, TA hours, as well as recruitment and retention pay. If you could speak to that.
Certainly, we can speak to that. So I'll start with the overtime, and Anna's going to look up some other things. But the overtime piece, we have typically held our overtime within our vacant positions. And just as a matter of showing the truth about what's happening, I think it's important to reflect that, and that's part of the budget. So that's the reason why there's some increase there. When it comes to this is also the line item, if I'm not mistaken, where we are talking about those recruitment and retention bonuses that I talked about in my opening, how it's important that we look at supplemental agreements and other ways that Anna spoke about, and other ways to boost our salary for our employees when we cannot do that with our existing salary schedule. So this is those would be those increases that we talked about. And Anna can say more.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, Mahalo for that update.
Okay, are you done? You are done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I think Deputy Director Lillis wants to say more, so will you continue?
Thank you, Chair.
part of my
Just
3 minutes.
quickly, in our letter, I just wanted to provide that we anticipate similar overtime and temporary assignments. So for FY25, it looks like 45,000 for overtime and 19,000 for temporary assignment. And so we are on track for, similar numbers for 26. Thank you.
Okay.
Is what we anticipate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. So that was part of my time, and I want you to, if you want to say any more about the state differential, it seems like a major thing that maybe a lot of departments should look at with unions.
Mahalo, Chair, for that question. So the state recognized that they were having a difficult time hiring planners, so they adopted a shortage differential, which basically takes the base salary of planners that are being hired at various step levels and adds to it an amount. So that every paycheck, you get this additional amount. I think it's on a monthly basis, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the form in front of me, but you get this additional amount. And that is for people who are hired on to deal with that shortage. They recognize in all the departments in the state that they have planners, that they have a shortage. So we would talk about adopting something similar here. But in addition to that, that doesn't deal with our planners that we already have that are not getting paid what they deserve. And so we're looking at other ways to supplement that pay for the existing planners so that there is equality in those two things, so that we're not leaving anyone behind.
So if I could just summarize, then you are looking at some kind of differential for your department for the planners.
Correct. And for all positions. We are looking for all positions.
Okay. And that's not before us though, because you didn't that's not in the 455,000. That's in the budget.
Yes, it is in the 450.
Oh, it is?
Yes, correct.
Oh, okay. All right. I will look forward to seeing what your, whatever document you need to file, right, to make that happen. Are you in negotiations with the union, or what is your process?
Thank you, Chair. Our first hope was to receive the funding and then to make meaningful negotiations based on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. This is gonna be the end of my time, but I just want you to say that I am still concerned about the zip lines in Haiku. And that is not part of this discussion, but if there is something budget-wise that you think would be relevant, please let us know, because the homeowners there are very, very dissatisfied with trying to live next to a zip line. And then I will turn it over back to Member Kama, and we'll go 2-minute second round. Member Kama.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Okay. So I just have 3 questions, and let me ask the questions, and then you can answer them. If you need me to repeat it, I can. So if council were to adjust the budgeted amount for expansion EPs to only 4 months of forecast expenditures rather than the traditional 8 months, would that have a large impact on your department's ability to recruit? And also bearing in mind that expansion to the 8 category of the budget your budget is not tied to any specific positions. Second question. There was substantial carryover savings recognized from the FY24 budget. The carryover represents capital improvement projects that weren't started, vacancies that were not filled, and equipment that wasn't purchased. What from FY24 is being proposed again in this budget, and what services, activities were you not able to deliver or delivered at a lower level of service in the current fiscal year? And how confident are you in your department's ability to deliver on the services and projects proposed in the FY26 budget? And I think the last question, if we have time to answer, Title 19 was supposed to undergo a rewrite. It's been undergoing for years. And I wanted to know what the cost was for that rewrite, and is Title 19 completed? And how long have people been working on it? And how much did it cost us? And those are my questions.
Whoa. Okay. Mahalo, council member. We're gonna try to work through those questions one at a time. So for your first question about if you gave us only 4 months of expenditures instead of, so no, we shouldn't have any difficulty recruiting. We're okay with that. The second question was about carryover savings, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you want to take that on, Anna?
Sure. It was the county-owned entitlements that was funded last year that we did not get to, and then, of course, our vacancies.
And then your second to last question was regarding how confident we are in our ability to deliver on these services. And so we're really confident in our ability that we have people in mind for each of these projects, and we're going to ensure that they're delivered. And we're just getting the answer to your other question for Title 19. So this project, you're correct, has been going on for quite a while, and it has been changed hands for project managers multiple times. So the total contract was $634,000, and there's about $400,000 left in that contract because much of what we have left to do is public engagement and these kind of larger scale activities. We are not, we're anticipating completing this by 2026. And so that project is well underway. The project manager for that is Scott Forsyth, and we hope to do a presentation to council at some point about where that project is and where we're headed with it soon, after budget, likely.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, very good. Chair Lee? I don't see her. Okay. Member Paulton, followed by Member Johnson.
Thank you. So just clarifying, all of the grant awards on page 646 doesn't require any county match. And then...
Sorry, Chair, our council member, we were pulling that one. Doesn't require any match.
I thought that's what you told Member Kama.
No, I'm sorry. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration subaward doesn't require any match, but I believe the certified local government does. I need to double check on that, though. I'll see if I can get that information before the end.
And the coastal zone management. Has the department met with the Maui Nui Resiliency Hui regarding their proposed restoration of Kapuali area for $700,000 of SMA revolving fund, and is the department in support?
So to answer your last question, CZM does have an in-kind match, so that was the other one. We're still getting on the certified local government. So if you're talking about, yes, there's a proposal that we have been going back and forth with Kaina Shiki about on this subject matter. So we are aware of it, and we've reviewed their materials and are in support of the project. There are some issues that need to be resolved, but overall, it's a good project.
At the amount of $700,000?
I think we're in support of a smaller amount. I need to find that information in my email, but we're in support of an initial amount with a follow-up amount. I think the initial amount was something like $200,000, and then the follow-up was more, but I need to check something.
And then of the...
But Director, you mentioned it would be done. But Director, you mentioned it would be done in 2026. We're not going to ask for any more money for this. It's all set. It's already in this year's budget. You're good financially on finishing it next year.
Correct. Yeah. So we're working on an existing contract. So we're still working underneath that contract. No additional funds are needed at this time. We're still working underneath that contract. No additional funds are needed at this time.
Okay.
And we're hoping,
that's a long time coming.
I apologize. I do want to add that we are hoping to have it done by 2026. We did our audit that led to this project.
Okay.
Interesting. That was my time. Thank you so much, Director, and thanks for all that you do. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Next, Member Cook, followed by Member Hodgins and Sinensi.
Thank you, Chair.
Isn't really a measure, and this is what's frustrating about these. It's not really a measure.
So not to interrupt you.
Progress. Frustrating about these. It's not really a measure.
So not to interrupt you.
Progress.
I understand it is. Understand it isn't. I'm not really that married to the quantity. I'm not really that married to the quantity. It's Fortunately, you didn't hear that, right?
Good hearing aids.
It's also one of the principal things that somewhat delays permitting approvals for both the government projects and private projects. And I'm striving to establish ways to simplify things without negating the necessity.
Certainly. Mahalo for your question. So shoreline rules are a good example, like our shoreline and SMA rules are a good example of us taking a look at this. But we have back at the office a list of, I don't know, I'm not even going to pretend to know how many things are on it that we're trying to clean up that are just